welcome to the Slow Ready Podcast, casual drive into the music and culture of Goose. I'm Mike.
And I'm Alex.
And on today's episode, we have an awesome conversation planned with our very special guest, Caroline from Rising Tide Art Studio, as you may know her from her socials. How are we doing today, Caroline? We're so excited to have you.
Oh, I'm fantastic. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Truly an honor for both of us. And we're going to have a great conversation about her art and connections with music and, of course, Goose and the very special event that is coming up that is the Hulaween Music Festival at the Spirit of the Suwannee Music Park. But first, as always, best way to keep up with us is on our socials at Slow Ready Pod. We are on just about every platform that you can possibly imagine. And if you'd like to email us, we'd love to hear from you. slowreadypod@gmail.com. Any kind of comments, questions, love hearing from you always. So definitely feel free to write in. And this is normally where we would get into our hot tea, the news and notes from the Goose world, but Goose seems to be taking a well-earned break or spending time in the studio or just doing things other than touring since they just wrapped that up. So not really anything news and notes. So instead of going into that, we're going to just dive right into our interview and great conversation here with Caroline. So Alex, you want to take it away here with the first question that we've got?
Yeah. We're going to get into some Hulaween talk here in a minute, but I just wanted to hear a little bit first about your musical journey and how it kind of led you to Goose first, and then we'll start getting into the fun times at Hulaween.
Cool. Well, my whole life has honestly been a musical journey, and I don't say that shyly. I was born to the Grateful Dead. My parents are heads, and they got bored in labor, and that's the story. I came out to Uncle John's band. So I truly do not know life without music. Like, I really don't. And there's some maybe like woo-woo parts of that story too, that now as an adult who's very embedded in the live music world, creating art at shows, I feel a sense of creation energy in music. And I really do connect that to my birth. And I love that that's part of my story. But yeah, I grew up on the Dead. I really didn't have a choice. And my parents are cool, educator hippies. So kind of a best of both worlds situation. And and then there was always encouragement to play music, to listen to music in the house. I actually got involved as a musician myself in my church choir when I was 8 years old. I grew up Catholic and started singing as soon as I could and getting up and cantering in front of the whole church as this little girl. And so there's also like a very strong sense of connection to spirit for me in music. And that's something that, my own spiritual journey through life has been really unique and interesting. And we could certainly talk about that, but that cannot be separated from the secular side of music too. I feel that at jam bands. Those are my origins with music and my love of music. And then I think just kind of natural inclination getting into, like, I was in college when Dead and Company started going on tour. So the first summer after my freshman year, my now husband and I went to our first Dead and Co show. That was 2016 in Charlotte. And it was kind of just like, there's who we were before the show and there's who we are now. And that just kind of set us off on a natural order of events of loving live music and going to shows and festivals, and eventually leading us to Goose, which I think we have the same origin story as a lot of people in the scene, which is finding that Peach Fest 2019 Arcadia half step. So that was my intro to, whoa, okay, these guys are out there. And then I really just started listening to them a lot throughout those early months of the pandemic. And Bingo Tour happened in that summer when we couldn't do any other live music, and just kind of fell in love with them. And actually started drawing during those shows because I was at home, and what else were we going to do? And it's just really been like, it's been enough years that I can look back and see how everything happened. But at the time, I didn't know any of it was happening the way it did. So here we are now.
Amazing.
It's so funny how so many of our stories are so similar with like that Peach Fest is just such a rallying force in the scene. And then COVID really is what really started this crazy trajectory now. So
absolutely.
love to hear it.
Yeah.
And so pivoting from there, how did you get started with Hulaween, and what about Hulaween has kept you coming back year after year?
Hulaween is amazing. It is truly my favorite annual event. Always. This will be my 7th Hulaween and my 8th year in a row going to the park at this time of year. Like, we went in 2020, even though the event was canceled. My start with hula is actually pretty similar. My parents found Spirit of the Suwannee Music Park before I had a choice, which I'm so freaking grateful for. I think I was born in 96. I was just talking to my dad earlier today. I think they found it in 98. So it was like the month before I turned 2. And Spirit of the Suwannee, if you're not familiar, I'm sure we'll get into some more details. I'll tell you kind of more about the park and my overview of everything. But it is this beautiful 800-acre piece of sacred land along the Suwannee River in Live Oak, Florida, which is northern central Florida, kind of Big Bend towards the Panhandle. It's right where I-10 and I-75 meet. And it's really special, and it's been around for a very long time. I'm not sure what year the original owners started the park, but they built it with the intention of being for music. So, it is a year-round campground. If you're looking for somewhere to go camping in Florida any time of year, it's beautiful, especially if you're trying to get away from the cold, come visit in the winter. And you can go camping, and they have a lot of live music events, but they also have always hosted very rootsy style festivals. And so the festival that I grew up going to as a child was called Magnolia Fest. And it was Rat Dog, Little Feat, Donna the Buffalo, Merle Saunders, all the music we love in just take it back 20, 30 years, right?
Yep.
And so I had the privilege of getting to go to that festival every year from 98 until probably like 2003. And then I kind of reached an age where like it didn't really work well with school, and I was starting to get a little older and was a little more aware of more of the adult things that were going on at the festival. And I think I probably hit the age where now kids weren't free. So we, it served as a liminal space in my childhood memory of just these incredible formative experiences around music and community. And, I'm a Floridian, so like just home. It's full of these beautiful live oaks and just incredible memories of being a kid, but also of like the adults that we were with being kids, and so it just always had really wonderful memories. And there was also a live artist that I used to watch there when I was a kid, and that's Scramble Campbell, who is now the artist in residence at Red Rocks. He's very well known. And growing up, I, just was always impressed by him. He kind of had an indelible effect on me, I guess you could say, and really made an imprint. And I never thought that I was going to kind of take an artist path in life. I was very passionate from a young age about being an educator and pursued becoming a middle school math teacher. And in my first year teaching was when the pandemic hit, and it kind of forced me into these circumstances of learning that a lot of things were outside of my control and that I didn't have to necessarily plan every part of my life. And that was timed with my discovery of Goose and all of these moving pieces that kind of became like, now I run Rising Tide full time and get to be a full-time artist and do the majority of my work in the music industry. And it's really like a dream come true that takes me back to being 8 years old and realizing like this was always something that was there and part of my story. And I kind of had to go on my own journey to get there. So for me, that's, there's like a lot of synchronicity and all these like full circle pieces that are how I came to hula. My very first Hulaween was in 2018, and that was, I think it was my second festival. So we had done Lock-In that year. That was our first fest. I had convinced my now husband, like, come on, I grew up going to festivals. It's going to be easy. We love camping. Let's just go. And boy, did we like not know what we were getting into. And then it totally changed our world. Like, okay, now we're going to Hulaween and we're, and I remember driving into Spirit of the Suwannee, and we put the windows down and someone's campfire, like just the scent kind of hit my nose. And I immediately started sobbing. Like there was this memory response that I had not been back at the park since I was 8 years old. I was 21. And my body was just like, my spirit was like, oh my gosh, we're home. So, I think that there's so much feeling in it for me. But I also know that all of the people that I have met on these grounds have the same kind of feeling and story, even though many of them did not grow up in those kinds of circumstances. It's just the kind of, it really is one of those like sacred spaces of the world. I feel almost like silly speaking about how powerful this place is, but like, please, if it's your first time coming, try not to have expectations, but also like seriously respect what you're entering, because it's got an energy, it's got a spirit of its own. It's the spirit of the Suwannee, and I think the spirit of the Suwannee itself is what pulls us back all the time.
Wow. All right. Well,
I got choked up.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to cry over here. Good grief. Great story. So we talked about the park. Now we're going to kind of make this a little bit of a Hulaween preview. So what makes Hulaween itself so special? Maybe talk about like the general vibes of the festival, the park grounds themselves. What makes it so unique in terms of a festival, along with the gorgeous setting, obviously, and just like the vibes of Spirit of the Suwannee Music Park itself.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the environment lays the foundation for what is able to come to life at this festival. I think that the park itself cannot be lost on like the magic of what happens. They could have no lights and decorations, and I think you'd think it's a pretty awesome festival. But that's not the case. They like have the most lights and art installations of many of the festivals across the country. So to set the vibe, this is the 12th year that they're doing Hulaween. We talked about they've done lots of like family style, rootsy kind of festivals at these grounds for many, many decades. I think since the 80s. And, lots of Allman Brothers stuff. Like it's just, you're in that country, right? Wani. So it's kind of got that kind of undercurrent to it. But it is one of String Cheese's festivals. So it is also kind of like the sister festival, the little sister of Electric Forest, which used to be Rothbury in Michigan. Mm-hmm. So the festival is now 4 days. When it started, when we started going, it was 3 days with a pre-party on Thursday, and you could pay a little more to go in and hear a little more music. Usually Thursday was a little more jam, and then there's a really, really nice blend of jam and EDM. I'm a heavy jam girl. Like, you guys got my whole background in 2 minutes. So I'm like all in on the jams. I'm all in on on that side of music. I had never really listened to any kind of electronic music until my first Hulaween, and it did really open my ears and open my eyes to what that can bring to the scene. I know that there is a lot of jam that is a nice happy place in between. I think of like Disco Biscuits and Disco, and there's just like, there is that blend already. And Goose has been getting goonsy, right? So like that, they're gonna bring that to Hula, and I've been enjoying that little taste of what they're doing. So I think it's the perfect place for them to show us what they've got. If you are into jam and you are kind of snobby, or you're like, I really don't like electronic, I think it's a great place to get a taste for it. And I think one of the things that makes Hulaween so incredible is the art. There are just incredible art installations. There are workshops all day long. In the last few years, one of the artists has created something called the Deliberate Creation Station, where she helps facilitate with this nonprofit arts in session. They put workshops on all day, somatic things, all kinds of stuff. And then most of the art installation is set up at what they call Spirit Lake. So in kind of the central, there's a built-in amphitheater, because this park was designed for music. So it's absolutely beautiful. Hulaween has grown to a size where, unfortunately, it's a little too big. When it was smaller, before the word got out, you could hammock in the trees during the sets, which is like really cool. Like,
that'd be amazing.
I remember watching O'Teal play Blue Sky in a hammock. Oh, it was really special. So there's been some cool stuff in that. Man, now I'm like thinking of all these awesome little memories of like Manic Focus. Anyways, okay. So next to the amp stage is Spirit Lake, which is this whole artist setup, artist installation. And that's where they'll have these incredible, interactive pieces, murals. There's a mural maze that has grown to become also attached to an area where artists can showcase and sell their work. So it's very, very interactive. There's a tent where they usually do yoga. I haven't seen the schedule this year, but I would imagine and hope that they're doing that again. And, during the day, they have all kinds of things you can participate in addition to the music. And then at night, that whole area around the lake kind of turns into this like psychedelic adult playground that really just like transforms. And I mean, you don't have to be on psychedelics for it to be a psychedelic experience. So yeah, we will talk about Hulaween in a while, but I could talk about it all day. I love it so much. It's so cool.
Yeah, it does make it really interesting thinking about the back and forth with the jam music and the late night EDM scene. How does that impact the crowd, in your opinion? Is it like, do you feel like it's two different groups of people there just kind of enjoying the music, or is it just all kind of everyone's just a similar vibe? I'm just curious, like how the vibe of the crowd is there while you're there.
Yeah,
with the very different music.
You can't miss Saturday Cheese. That's the motto at Hulaween. You cannot miss Saturday Cheese. So no matter which side you lean more, like, you better be there, because we're all going to a family reunion on Saturday night. And I think for the most part, like, that's the vibe. Of course, you've got people who prefer to do their own thing. You've got people who hang out in Spirit Lake the entire weekend. who, you've got people who are only doing yoga. You've got people who are painting live the entire time and don't leave their easel. I hope they do. But, just to give you a sense, like, this is a place where the thing about festivals, that I think what people find so enjoyable about them, is that it's a place to be authentically yourself. And I think, in my experience, Hulaween is a place where you can do that. You're on your own journey. There is, you can tell which people are, you can tell who's in their tie-dye and you can tell who's in their booty shorts, like there are differences when it comes to which side people are kind of taking. But I think that the way they set up the stages allows for a really easy experience with music. Also, I might just be biased because I'm more of a jam girl, but like, I think the main stages do tend to be more jam favored. There have been years where they'll always have some EDM stars, but in like looking at this year's schedule, it's pretty jam heavy on the main stages, which is pretty awesome. I will say that that makes me a little bit worried about some kind of of the safety and traffic around the amp stage when the amp has a really huge star. So when Zed's Dead plays there, I think that if you're interested in seeing that, but you're not really into that music, don't get too deep into the crowd. Just, find a safe place to be further back and enjoy the music without, getting too deep in. But that said, I think that this is a festival where no matter where you are in life, in the world, you have to be aware of your surroundings. There are going to be sketchy people at a show. It happens because that's society, that's it, right? But I do tend to let my guard down because this is such a safe community where people are really taking care of each other and loving each other. There's not really a judgment in my mind's eye of jam versus EDM. We're all there for the same thing. And don't miss Saturday Cheese.
Don't miss Saturday Cheese. Well said. And the crossover, you said it earlier too, it's growing with every year that goes by with the jam scene and the EDM scene. So I was just curious if it was you see people only go to one side or the other, but it sounds like it's a decent mix.
Yeah, I think people go to what they like, right? Everybody knows their tastes, but this is a place where you can try some things that you're not usually going to order.
Yeah, perfect.
And so this actually brings up something else. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, where you had the really cool memory of being able to listen to O'Teal in a hammock. And so maybe some of those more intimate moments aren't necessarily possible, but looking at that kind of as a whole, how would you say the festival has grown both for the better and for the worse over the years?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think that's a textbook example, right? We can't put hammocks up at the amp anymore. And I actually think that's a pretty smart safety call. Plus, you're not blocking people's view because so many people want to get into that stage. So, there's definitely been growth. I think by the time that I started coming to Hulaween, I think it was the 5th year that they did it, and it was already very popular. But it has continued to grow. What I'm seeing this year is more, and this is maybe assumption based on things I've seen online or in El Goose, for example. But I think that there are people who are only coming in on Saturday, Sunday. They didn't used to sell single day tickets. So I think now that they're kind of scaled to this point, that's something that I'm seeing, and I'm not worried about necessarily, but I do think if you're listening to this and you're planning on coming on Saturday and you're going to come in with a group of 13 people and you're hoping to camp, good. I really hope you find a spot for all of you. And I don't mean anything. Like, I'm not trying to worry you, but you might end up having to camp in some like pears. You know, people used to come in for Hulaween the Sunday before and start. Oh, that's something that's super unique about this festival. You know, when you go to other festivals, they like tell you where to park and camp. This place is a free for all. You go where you want to go. You camp where you want to camp. And there are so many different areas. There is Renaissance camping that's under the trees. There's the bat houses where you can see the bats come out from their house every night, which is really cool. If you camp there, it's a cool area. It might smell a little bit. There's, you know, the area closer to Spirit Lake. They actually have changed an area that was over there, used to be available for camping, that I think now is like more of a artist back of house kind of area. There's an area that's by horse stables. There is family camping by the playground. There's a full-time, you know, there's a playground that is at the campgrounds all the time, which, yes, you can go into, and it's super fun to swing at 2 a.m. There is, let's see, what is it called? 80 acres is kind of the biggest area that you can camp. There are not very many trees, and that would be the region where there will be the most renegade sets, like after the venue itself closes. So if you're looking to get a really great night's sleep, I maybe wouldn't camp in 80 acres. But if you're looking to party all night and go to sleep at 7 a.m., then you'll probably find some people in there. And then beyond that, there are like RV hookups, you know, cabins. You can take the main river road, and we've camped back in Flip Flop a few times, which is a heck of a walk into the venue, but it's like also a really cool little society out there if you're gonna, and it's way closer to the river. So I love to get to the river. And you know, you kind of have to balance things out. So to get to my point about like, you know, the scaling happening and seeing that people are able to start buying a single day or 2-day ticket and come in, I think that's awesome, because not everybody can come the whole weekend or wants to come. But if you have never been to this festival before and you're coming on Saturday, just be prepared that depending on what time you get there, you may be very overwhelmed by how many camps are already set up. You know, people used to come in on the Sunday before and rope off space. And, you know, before the festival even started, people were freaking out on Facebook that, how am I going to find space? You always find space. You're going to find space to camp. But if you can get there, like, and be there for the whole festival, it may be a more enjoyable experience of like being with all the people you want to camp with, like really being able to set up camp where you're in a grounded situation, you know how to get to and from. There's something about Hulaween that whether you're a first timer or you've been there 7 years or, you know, 30, you're going to get lost, and you actually have to just accept it. So, yeah, you're going to get lost. It's okay. You're going to find exactly where you need to be. And when you are first going into the festival grounds and back to camp, please look at the tapestries and totems and flags and balloons and street signs. Please put a pin at your campsite. You're probably going to lose service, but you can at least try to find your way to get there. Look for landmarks so that you have some general idea and you're not like sleeping in a tree.
That's actually a perfect segue into like our next question we had, which is just kind of running through some tips for first timers.
That was a lot of first time tips.
Yeah. So,
oh, I love it.
You had mentioned, you know, the campgrounds open early for folks who come before Thursday. I believe the official entry time is Tuesday, the 28th. It sounds like.
Yeah.
And I read on the website, you know, you can't leave and re-enter with your car once you're set up camping for the festival. So like that's a first timer tip, for instance. Do you have any other tips kind of like that you think someone might not be aware of for their first time going?
Well, that's funny, Alex, because that's the first time that I heard that myself, that you can't re-enter with your car. So that might be a rule this year. So we might all be first timers in one way or another.
Well, they say you can come back in your car, obviously, but you have to park in like the day parking lot.
Oh,
With
sure.
your
Yeah.
campground, you know? So maybe that is new.
That may be new, and it may be because of, the previous question of like, what do we see is happening now that this festival is continuing to grow? Yeah, I don't there are so many tips that I could say. I think it boils down to three things: have fun, be smart, and be safe. You maybe get to choose what order you get to prioritize those things. Okay. I used to be
have them all.
You can have them all, and you need to have them all, actually. But be smart about how you set up. There's something else to say. One time, my husband Chase and I went camping, not for a festival, just the two of us, and we went back so we could be closer towards the river. So we were back in that flip-flop area, and we didn't get in until the sun had already set. And so we made some dinner, and then we went to set up our hammocks and, kind of just checked, okay, they're tight, cool. Chase sat down in his hammock and evidently had tied it up to a dead tree. And this tree came crashing down. Like, it was a miracle. Like, it was very much a near-death experience.
Jesus.
He had bruises and scrapes on his back. Thank God he dodged the tree enough that it didn't land directly on top of him. So I don't say that to scare anybody, but you need to be aware. You need to look up and go, oh my gosh, this tree is dead. We're in Florida. They're trees. They have a lifespan, and also there's storms and there are things that happen. So, that actually wasn't even on my list of tips for first timers, but that is a personal experience of something that happened at Suwannee once that could happen anywhere. And you just have to you need to be safe and smart so that you can have the most fun, right? So yeah, I think I have a little list here. So let's go through it and we'll see. I think I covered a lot of things already. Drop a pin at your campsite when you set up. Look for landmarks along the way. Tapestries, flags, street names. Expect to get lost, and don't worry. Know that you're gonna get to be exactly where you need to be. And even though you should expect to get lost, go in with no expectations. So have expectations and no expectations. Drink lots of water. I'm a Nalgene gal. We usually bring some Camelbacks as well. They always have plenty of water inside the venue. You, like all festivals and venues, usually have to dump the water before walking in, and then you can refill on the inside. There are spigots all over. Most of them are potable water. The ones that are in the venue it might have a little taste because it's a campground, but it's good water to use. And I would say, on your day one, find where the water is and make sure you know what's up, right? I would recommend bringing shower wipes and bug spray. There are showers there. They can be hit or miss depending on where you camp and what you do. They usually bring in the trailer showers that you can take, and then there are also showers that just live there permanently. And then there are also built-in campground bathhouses. So if you are going to shower, turn on the water before you take your clothes off and make sure that it's running well and it's, not frigid or whatever. But, wash your face, wipe off your pits at the end of the day. Respect the people around you and respect yourself. I personally like to jump into the river every morning, and it's pretty cold in October, but it's not bad. And it's a wonderful way to start the day. I have some autoimmune type stuff. And so for me too, it's just a beautiful way to help with inflammation. after a lot of walking, after a night, Bugs are not usually too bad in Florida at the end of October, but it could anticipate every type of weather possible. We're still in hurricane season. There have been years where we have been scared that Hulaween's going to get canceled or something's going to happen. Knock on wood, nothing's happening. There have been years that there have been fire bans, like we haven't been able to have campfires because it's so dry. If that's the case, if it's been kind of rainy here in Florida, but if it's not raining over this next week, then the festival will get dusty. So bring a bandana or like a gaiter or something to cover your nose and mouth. Bring lots of layers because it can be like wonderful summer bikini weather during the day, and then it can drop to like 20 degrees at night. And because it's humid, if it's cold, it like sinks. It's a wet cold. It it really can affect you. So just be prepared. A lot of people like to wear onesies, which is super fun. And I think like a festival is an awesome place for that. If you wear a onesie, like just be smart still about layers because you might get really overheated in the crowd during the day. It might be awesome at night, but okay, I have a couple other first timer tips. Bring less food than you think you're going to cook. We've always brought more food that we want to cook at camp. And it's nice to have some meals planned. And like if you're super organized and you go camping all the time and you know how you eat, do it. And it's especially great if you can, have some greens and some protein and some things that are really going to fuel you during the festival. But that can be really hard to keep on ice. And there are really amazing food vendors every year. And you are probably going to cook less at camp than you think. You're going to spend way more time inside the venue. And you may as well support the vendors who are there to give you good food. And then, this is not something that I say lightly. It's not something that I am condoning, but I think it's something that we need to address in the community when we talk about festivals. And that is that if you are going to play chemist, please, please, please test anything that you are planning to put in your body. If you're going to buy something, you should be able to test it. And you can buy test kits before you go. You can, there is always bunk safe in the campgrounds, and they are awesome and they will help you with whatever you might need. And you can ask any questions. Usually Dance Safe is set up. Usually there are other harm reduction organizations as well. So, just be smart, be safe. Not everybody's a good person. And we've lost a lot of people for somebody, making a buck. So just be smart about anything that you are planning to dabble in. And also really please look out for your neighbors. Like if you see somebody that doesn't have friends around them or looks confused or is laying on the ground, like check in on them. Please, if you yourself are not doing well, don't be ashamed to go to Spirit Care. Like that's why these people are there. Not everybody at a festival is doing something. Many of us are sober-ish, right? But like a lot of people are letting go of their inhibitions, and people are aware of that. So take care of yourself, take care of your neighbors, wander and wonder.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it. That's a very comprehensive list. Holy cow.
I couldn't help myself.
No, I was trying to look through like the stuff off of just like the general website and stuff. You covered a lot of it. So thank you for that. The only thing that I saw that might be important, I'm not sure, is just everything's cashless apparently this year too with the vendors. So be prepared for that.
Yes.
And your GA tickets don't include car passes if you're parking. So just be prepared for that too. If you have a GA pass and you're planning to park. That's all I got. Caroline, you covered everything else.
I love it. Well, yeah, expect to bring a car in, right? Like this is not a venue where you can really park outside and walk your camp stuff in very easily. So, expect that you'll need a car pass. And I'm glad that you said that, Alex. There might be some vendors in the campgrounds themselves who will take cash, but everything these days, we're in a more and more cashless society. So
yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but that's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah, mixed emotions. I know you guys aren't going to the festival, but did any of that intrigue you? Like, if you were coming, would you have any follow-up questions?
I do, for sure, because I think you did hit like pretty much everything, but I was born and raised in Florida until I was 13. And in my experience anyways, as a kid growing up in Florida, any pretty much piece of woods that I entered into, I had to be aware of poisonous spiders, poisonous snakes, alligators, things like that. So you're talking about a giant property here and taking dips in the river and whatnot. You've been a bunch of times. Have you had any interesting encounters with wildlife there? Because that's always on my mind when I'm in Florida.
Yeah, I got a spider bite or some kind of bite like the first year I was there, right on my ankle, and had to go to the medic tent and get it, have it taken care of. I have never seen a gator, but they are there. That's Florida, right? Yeah. Like, you don't see them, but they are there. It is pretty cold, so they're and so, like, it used to be, I feel guilty. I feel like I get so excited about Suwannee that I've like leaked a lot. It's not just me, but like I've leaked the info. Like, people know about the river. Nobody knew about the river when we started going. Now it's like you go and like there's like barely a spot to sit down on Saturday. It's a party during the day, a beach party. So, yeah, there's wildlife everywhere. You need to be smart. There are people who are going to walk barefoot the whole weekend and be fine. There's somebody who's going to cover up every inch of their body and still get bit by something. So, like, that's also Florida. And maybe like, your thoughts create your own realities. So, like, don't worry about it.
That's the best advice yet.
That's the best advice. Yeah, I'm just going to say. Oh, gosh. The only thing that came to mind for me, besides all the great advice, is obviously you're going to see Goose and you're going to go for Saturday string cheese, right? But who else are you most excited to see?
Ooh, well, okay. Goose has really, I mean, I'm freaking obsessed with Goose, aren't we all? I would like to, I'm going to pull up the daily schedule here. And I would love to give my like jam band suggestions.
Oh, I'd love that.
Schedule pulled up here. So how do you want to go into this? Do you want me to just...
Yeah, let's hear like everyone that you're interested in. Yeah, okay. All your suggestions, all the recommendations for the lineup.
Cool. So, I said earlier, like, there's one of the things I love about Hulaween is that you can get a taste of everything, right? And you can try some things that you wouldn't usually order off the menu. So I'm someone who, if I haven't heard a band, but somebody's recommending them to me and they're coming to my city, I kind of prefer or love to go in blind. It's just like, I don't want to set up expectations for myself, and I love to just be blown away by the live experience. But that said, when you're going to a festival that is so massive like this, and there's so many things you can do, I think the best thing you can do is actually create a schedule of desires. Like, these are the things these are my must sees. I cannot miss these things. These are like things I'd really love to kind of hear or try out. And then you'll know more about like the arts in session, arts workshops, yoga schedule, like Slinky Josh usually does a slinky flow, or there's a hooping like workshop. Like there's all kinds of things you can do, whatever you want to try. So know that like you might miss some things that you were really hoping for, but like it's really awesome if you can set up your desires. So looking at Thursday's schedule, I personally don't know a lot of the afternoon bands. String Cheese starts at 7:10 on the Meadow stage, which is the main stage. I will be there. Like this is the first year that they're ever playing on Thursday. I told you guys earlier that Thursday used to be a pre-party day. It did used to be more jam. Like I remember J-Rod played the first year we went. It rained and they did like a whole set of rain songs. It was so fun. And so that's a really good one to look up if you like listening to live shows. So this is going to be really cool because usually Cheese plays on Friday. Saturday is a themed set where they do a big shebang for whatever the theme is. And then Sunday, they usually do an afternoon, evening, more bluegrass kind of set. So they're not playing Sunday this year. They're playing Thursday, and then they're ending with their big Saturday night shebang. And then Goose is our headliner on Sunday, which like, I don't know, when I put it like that, makes me feel like, guys, this is a big deal. Like this is actually a huge deal. So I will be at String Cheese on Thursday at 4. I have heard of Sousa Brass Band. I have not listened to them. Weethan, I assume that's how you say his name, their name. That's going to be EDM. Anything on the DEF, the Deaf Off Limit stage, that's Define Everything Future, I think is what they stand for. They are a big EDM group that shows up to Hula. Now they're like super involved with Hula. I have a friend who works for them in Atlanta, and they put on a lot of like underground rave kind of stuff. So like that stage is going to be all of that style of music for the most part. It says surprise sets in the evening. So, maybe Saturday night, that could be a DJ Mar Menthol kind of thing. Who knows? I don't know. I really have no insight, but that would be really cool.
Make it happen.
Thursday, it could happen. It would be so sick, dude. It would be so sick.
So that'll be amazing.
I'll let you know. I could come back on after the festival.
You gotta wait till Monday, right? No service.
True. After String Cheese, so the Meadow stage and the Hollow stage are set up across from each other, which is a really awesome setup. They started doing this maybe 3 or so years ago, and then they split the schedule. So it's like when the main stage ends, you could just turn around and look at the stage behind you and they're going to start, which is awesome. They usually try to do a balance of jam and electronic, or like something that, the crowd is going to love. So I see that String Cheese is going to end at 7:10 and immediately Wonky Willa is going to start. I saw a little bit of that set at Electric Forest. It was my first time there this summer, and I worked the event, and like it was cool. Again, I'm not really an EDM girl, but like it's just cool to get a taste of these things if that's not what you're typically going to. Where I will be during that set, so I might catch a little bit. I might leave Cheese a little early because I'm walking to Spirit Lake to go to the infamous String Dusters with Sierra Hull. I'm not, she's awesome and they're awesome. So I'm not going to miss that. That ends at 8:15. Jade Cicada is playing after Wonky Willa on the Hollow stage. It looks like the rest of that evening is going to be a lot of EDM. I don't know my genres of EDM well enough to tell you if it's drum and bass or I don't even know. But I do know that there are going to be a lot of Hulaween people who are going to love these sets, who are going to be there for these sets. Like, that's what they're there for. Jade Cicada comes most years. I've seen her name on the lineup. Mersive, tape B, back to back Mersive. Don't know what it sounds like, but I can tell you that people are hyped. That's what I know. Now, during that, at the Hollow stage, Mo is going to play at Spirit Lake stage. I will probably find myself somewhere in between. I think everybody has their own taste. There are some things from Mo that I enjoy, and there are some things from Mo that make me want to walk away. So we will see where I will be, and I might just be exploring. And that's just the reality. I don't know anything else on the evening set for Thursday, but that's my overview. Friday, we're starting the day at 2 p.m. I'm probably like starting to walk in during that time. I personally don't recognize any of these band names. So like the earlier, I said that I like to go in blind, but sometimes when it's this kind of situation where like I've never heard of them, there are a lot of people who will put together playlists, and I think it's a really awesome way to go get a feel for or a taste of like everything that we might hear. So I'll probably look up some of these bands, Burgundy, Priscilla, and like see where they fall, and if I want to like pass them on my way into the venue. Disco is playing at 3:30 at the Hollow stage, and I will definitely be there. I kind of wish, so later in the night, or no, I think it's on Saturday, Dogs in a Pile is playing a really late night set. And I kind of wish Dogs was playing the afternoon set and Disco was playing the late night set, but you can't get
real.
everything you want.
No, that's real though. That would work. It
would be really great. But I get it. I also get it like in the sense of where they are in their careers, to fit the bill. So Disco is going to play on the Hollow stage, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to watch Pigeons playing ping pong, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to watch Sun Squabby, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to watch String Cheese, and then we're going to turn around for Disco Biscuits, and then we're going to turn around for String Cheese, and then we're going to turn around for Disco Biscuits, and then it's going to get EDM-y. So that's Friday. There are definitely other things happening during those sets that will be worth it to go check out. And I encourage people to kind of look into their own music for sure. But as jam girl, like I'm at the Meadow spinning around all day long. I don't even have to move. I can set up a blow up couch. Like it's exciting.
That's a big day. That's huge.
That's a lot.
It's a huge day. Yeah, I think that's going to be a really big day. Also, Disco Biscuits is only playing for an hour, but then Tractor Beam is playing from 2:15 to 3:45 a.m., which I only recently learned is Disco Biscuits.
It's a form of it. It's a form of it, yeah.
You know what I mean. I have been told by friends who are more on the EDM side that I would like LSD. I think that is Closey doing some kind of special thing. Also, DJ Pee Wee, aka Anderson .Paak, is playing at the amphitheater. And Anderson .Paak played a few years ago at Hula. I think it was on the main stage. It was really awesome performance. So I will definitely be checking that out. That like has a little bit of overlap with Millennium. And that's my Friday jam recommendation.
Excellent.
Saturday, we start in the afternoon again. Saturday am going to the river. I'm trying to find the best yoga workshop for my schedule. And then again, there are some of these earlier sets that I really don't know anything about. I may look them up beforehand because I want to know which one might be closest to my taste. But I also may just walk into the venue and let my ears pull me to the stage that I'm meant to get lost at. Then at 3:45, do you guys know Fox and the Cobra?
Yeah.
Margot?
Yes.
Oh, we love Margot.
She is a huge fan of this band, and I haven't asked her how to say their name all the times we've talked about them. But I think it's Balthus.
Okay. I would not know.
Balthvs. So there's a little shout out to my girl Margot, Fox and the Cobra.
There we go.
Direct endorsement from someone who's very involved in this Goose community, that she loves this band. She's seen them many times, and she's super excited that they're playing at Hulaween. So she's actually coming in Saturday, and we'll be meeting up there. I've heard good things about the Snosberries. I actually think I've seen Grace Bowers once in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the main stage, so awesome. I love a female rocker. I think any time we can get more women involved in festivals and music, I'm all for it. Arc de Soleil is very similar to a Khruangbin kind of vibe. So I think that also doesn't really have much overlap on the earlier side of the set. It looks like it's the only thing playing starting at 5:45. I would say that's an awesome, let's take a breath all together Saturday before partying. And then we're going into String Cheese set number 1, followed by Frank Moody, Just Gotta Turn Around. Then back to String Cheese. That's going to be the big shebang, their final set of the weekend, and generally just they do a big thing during that set, whether it's performers coming out on stage, or there have been years where they've done blimp style balloons in the crowd, or stilt walkers. There's just literally every year is a different thing. I couldn't tell you what they're going to do, but I would imagine it's going to be an awesome set of music. After that is Glass Beams on the Hollow stage. I have not seen them yet, but I have been wanting to, so very excited for that. There will be a little bit of overlap with Zed's Dead during that set starting at the amphitheater. So if you're a lot of EDM folks will be going there, and if you're looking to kind of see what that's like, you could kind of stay at the Hollows but walk towards the amp and get a feel from the outside. And then Parcels is playing. They're the last main act on the Meadow stage on Saturday, 11:30 to 1:30. I'm really excited for them. I haven't seen them yet, but I actually got into them from Goose, and yeah, I'm stoked. And then we get to go see Dogs in a Pile if we're still up. 2:15.
You could do
Saturday is the night to do it.
We believe in you. You can do it.
I think we can. Hopefully, DJ Marb might come out in Spirit Lake. I really it's really a hope. All right. Thanks for bearing with me. We get to Sunday. Sunday has always traditionally been bluegrass, calm down Sunday vibe. My first time seeing Billy Strings was Sunday afternoon, Hulaween 2019. And there is going to be a lot to make up for String Cheese not doing a Sunday set. That's going to be really beautiful. So we start the day with Shadowgrass. I've gotten to see them a couple times, and they are a young jam grass band that is, I think, really going to make some impressions. Susto String Band, I've heard good things about. Then we get to see Molly Tuttle. And then we go right into Joe Russo's Almost Dead, which is going to be a 2-hour set. And when J-Rad finishes, we turn around to the main stage and we get Goose. So it's going to be awesome. I really think we're so lucky, and we're so I don't even know, I say go in with no expectations. I don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be incredible. There is a lot of stuff happening at the Amp and Spirit Lake and the Off Limit stage during that. So you can expect that on Sunday. It'll be a pretty jam heavy crowd. And then Goose is the last headliner. And then over at the Spirit Lake stage, Daniel Donato's Cosmic Country is going to close out the whole festival, which is like, I love them. I think they're going to be
anything but calm, though, to your earlier chill out bluegrass vibe.
Well, that's true. We still want to all end with like, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. Oh, they're so good. They're so good.
They're awesome. So
wanted to ask though.
That's my advice.
Yeah, I mean, so many great tips in there, and obviously, like this schedule is like so loaded. Like, I think it's going to be for most people hard to make a bad decision. You're
totally
turn a different direction, and there's something great happening. But considering what you just said about how Sunday used to be kind of like a chill out bluegrass wrap up day, how do you think that like Goose fits into this like overall vibe of the festival and like the changing of Sunday to like now Goose is the headliner? How does that change the festival? How does Goose fit in? Like, how do you see all of that now that Sunday's a lot different?
I don't know if it's a lot different. I think that there's still the same spirit of like bluegrass afternoon, right? Where we're kind of coming in to our like more of that. You just partied hard on Saturday. So like, let's kind of take it easy coming in on Sunday. That said though, like there have still always been sets that really bring it on Sunday. Last year I did Goose tour, the Florida tour that they did with, I didn't go to Miami, but I did St. Pete and both of the St. Augustine shows. And I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to do that the week following Hulaween. And so last year was the only time I didn't go for all 4 days. And we just went in on Sunday. And to start the day, we saw Holly Bowling played, and then Sam Grisman Project played. And then throughout the day was Green Sky Bluegrass, and then String Cheese did Bob Weir came, and they did the Bob Weir incident, I think they called it, or Bobby Weir incident. And it was like really within a week of Phil Lesh passing. And so they did this beautiful ode to Phil with Box of Rain. And so, you know, that's last year alone. But that's to say that like Sunday still brings it. It's just that it has always had a vibe that's different from the full octane of Saturday, that Sunday is kind of like, okay, we're all like coming down on this last day of the festival, meaning coming back to reality, whatever that may mean, right? And it still is like the performances are still arguably some of the best on Sunday. So I think Goose playing on Sunday is really, I mean, selfishly, it's like, yeah, this is exactly what it's supposed to be, you know? If I only think about my own story and all of these little full circle and synchronicities, like my favorite band has to be playing on the last day of the festival. But like on a really human level, like I think their music, and it's something you guys talk about on your podcast, it's something other people talk about. It's part of what causes some of the polarization in the music, is that like Goose is accessible. Goose is really, really accessible. You know, I heard when we first sat down, you said something to Mike about King Giz, and I like Giz, but it was hard for me to get into Giz. Like there's a barrier to entry, and there really isn't a barrier to entry with Goose. It sounds good. It feels good. There are lots of women who love it. So I think that Goose is going to bring the party for everybody. I think that it's just going to be fun and enjoyable. I think they're still going to bring it, especially with the way they've been playing with that unsee kind of stuff. And I think it'll be really enjoyable for all of us.
Goose doesn't miss an assignment ever. We always say it on the podcast. They always know exactly how to deliver for every setting. So they'll definitely nail the ounce sound for sure, I imagine, but they'll also bring it for chill vibes. They'll bring it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Alex, I really love that you say that they never miss an assignment. They know how to, I don't even know that it's that they know how to tailor their sets to their environment or their music. Like they do. I'll give them credit. They're really smart and they are strategic in what they do. But there is a spirit in how they play and in how they surrender as musicians that I think allows them to be very fluid with their venues and their environment and their fans. And they've played Hulaween before. They've played Suwannee before. My first time seeing them live was at one of those like pod shows outside of the venue at Spirit of the Suwannee. And they, we talked about it. There really is a spirit that runs through the place. And I think that they'll be tapped into that because they're tapped into that no matter where they are.
So well said. And you got my brain rolling on last time Goose was at Hulaween now, because I think about Goose guesting on Texas with String Cheese all the time. And they nailed that assignment. So like, I can't wait to see what it brings this year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And no expectations. There's not much that I'm chasing, so I guess I'm lucky there. But also, I don't usually go into a show hoping for a certain song because I know whatever they're going to give us is going to be exactly what we need.
There you go. So we've chatted a lot of Hulaween. Is there anything else you wanted to say here before we kind of shift gears into Rising Tide and get more to you?
Thank you for clearly this is a festival I really love. I feel really passionately about. I'm so excited that so many people want to come here. It feels like this little part of me from being a kid gets to show my world something that's so special. So if you are coming, whether you've come before and you know what it's like or it's your first time, just thank you for being open to this experience, and please be open and respectful and loving, and throw away your trash and all those good things.
There you go. Well said. Leave only your footprints, right? So you touched on it a little bit earlier, and I want to know more about the origin story of Rising Tide Art Studio. Like, when did it officially start, and then when did you go full time, and how has it kind of gone from there?
Oh gosh. So I officially established the business in 2021. I had been thinking about it in a very professional sense of like opening an LLC and actually, having an art business I thought was going to be a side hustle while I was teaching. I'd been thinking about that for over a year. It had kind of started as a seed planted in college when I started seeing creators like Nola Dead, who were kind of like these Dead and Company lot artists, but they were doing really well for themselves on Instagram. And I don't know, I think I'm someone who finally at age 28, almost 29, I'm like finally realizing I don't have to take life so seriously. So that's had its lessons and also benefits. Like the fact that I've taken things seriously allowed me to set up my business as a real business before just starting posting my art. And that gave me the confidence and the security to just share my art online. And then that started turning into, more. So I always had the idea that it would be something in the music scene in the space that I really loved. But I did not have a business plan for it to be like that. When I started the business, in 2019, I had created a watercolor wedding map for my cousin. She just, hey, Caroline, you're a wonderful artist. Would you paint this for me? Sure, I did it. It was my wedding gift to her. She included it in all of the, itinerary, stationery. And I never really thought about it again. And then when I was a teacher, I had a really awesome opportunity to like teach in a very student centered kind of way. And I taught intensive math. And so it really was a priority of mine to make my class really meaningful to students because I needed to show them the value of math in the real world. And I did that by designing really creative lessons that allowed them to do arts projects, music projects, like cooking lessons, all that kind of stuff, like, but while mastering the skills that were necessary. So kind of all of that passion and background and is how Rising Tide was born. It just eventually I hit a point where like, life was taking me down this path and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I like I said, I thought it was going to be a side hustle. I at the time was substitute teaching during the pandemic. I got to teach third grade. I got to teach music for this whole private school that I was at. And then I kind of like dipped my toe in all the different pools of like, well, what if I taught this? What if I taught that? I've taught sailing for many, many years. So like I have a lot of experience outside of the classroom, and yeah, it just blossomed into, I always loved using my talent for art to create gifts for other people. When it was a holiday or a birthday or something, I would paint them something or I would make them a card. And so I started the business focused on these like watercolor wedding maps because suddenly I had some people in my life who were like, hey, remember you did that for your cousin? Would you make me one? And then, oh, you're doing that for your brother-in-law? Would you make me one? And then, oh, wow, okay, this is like a niche thing that I could make and sell that people are valuing and asking me for. And in the background, I always wanted it to become about music, but I like didn't really have a plan for it. And so, I mean, I could tell you all the details, but I'll save the time and the story to say that Rising Tide is a vessel for my creation and my energetic flow. And the more that I have invested my energy into the music communities, the more that my art has begged me to make it in those spaces. And I've had a lot of experiences where live art has felt like a compulsion that I couldn't ignore. And that's kind of how it was born. And it became this way for me to start creating at shows. And I was doing something with energy that I didn't understand until way further down the line. And for me, it's my flow. It's my dance. It's part of the way my spirit wants to experience the music. And I'm a highly sensitive person. I feel energy really intensely, and sometimes, especially coming out of the pandemic, that could be really overwhelming for me. And I was dealing with a lot of anxiety in general, not just at shows, but at shows I was finding that I was like so in my head that I wasn't in the show or in the music. And when I started just naturally letting myself make art, it taught me how to be in the moment. And so it just kind of continued to become what I did. And eventually I started tailoring my business to it and continuing to do it, and then getting hired and booked. And, now it's pretty much everything I do, not just the live art, but it's a huge, it's what a lot of people see when they look at Rising Tide.
Channeling it into something amazing. Oh my gosh. We have one of your pieces like right here I'm looking at as you were talking. And I was just like, couldn't help but look at it as you were telling that amazing run of how you started the business and like how you've managed to channel all of that, emotion into a thriving art business. That's awesome.
Thank you. It means a lot. I didn't know how I was going to make it happen at first. Like I talked about feeling some anxiety, and there was a lot of anxiety of feeling actually where I'm at now, like in the past, like knowing that this was going to become something and I wanted it to, and how could I possibly do that? Like feeling disorganized and confused. And if you're listening and you have a passion project or a business that you want to start or something you just genuinely care about and you feel that way, the good news is that that probably means that the version of you in the future achieved it and you already are feeling those results. And you should just keep doing, even if you don't know how to do it or don't have a perfect way to do it. None of us know. None of us are perfect. Well, none of us could ever be perfect. That's how we were designed. And just keep showing who you are and what you care about. And it will continue to, let your life flow in that direction.
Love it.
Could not agree more with that. And I wanted to ask, and maybe it is just as simple as just like getting into a flow state and not being in your head, but can you talk at all about like your creative process during like live performances and creating art? Because it seems to me that you're always able to capture what we're all experiencing. But what I find so interesting about it is that we're all experiencing it like in our own individual, unique ways. Like I always joke around that if you see a Goose show with me, you're going to see my eyes closed like 80% of the time because I mostly am like, I'm really intently focused on all the sounds I'm hearing and I'm just trying to like live in the sound from the band. And so I feel like we're all just taking in these concerts and these songs in different ways. But every time I see one of your drawings, I'm like, boom, yeah, there it is. That's what was happening on stage. So are you tapping into something, or is it just simply freeing up your mind to just exist and let it happen?
Golly. Yes. Yes. Yes to both. I feel a little speechless because the way you just described looking at my art is such an incredible affirmation and validation of what I feel when I'm doing it. I, especially with Goose, the connections are so strong with all of it, with the fans, with the crowd, with the music. But this happens for me at all kinds of music. But like I feel it really, really strongly with Goose. I am, yes, just letting go and being present. When I start making art, it's like one of the only times in my world where my brain goes quiet. Like usually I've got multiple thoughts going at once and a song playing in the background. So when I get into that flow space, especially during a show, it's like one of the only times I stop thinking. So yes, getting into the flow. Doing that is, I think, what taps me into the experience of everybody around me. Because previously at shows, I would get really distracted. And, I am diagnosed with anxiety. I'm actually taking anxiety medication that has changed my art in the last couple of years. And it's been a really challenging experience as a live artist to accept that being on this medication like helps ground me and helps me not get overwhelmed. And at the same time, it has changed the way that I flow the music into something. You guys could maybe, like, I could tell you to look at a certain piece from this stage versus this year versus this year and see what the differences are. And I'm curious, like, eventually, my hope is that I'm not going to be medicated forever. My hope is that like I'm continuing to expand my tolerance for life and learn how to manage symptoms when I feel anxiety and how to like experience it as excitement instead of fear. And so I hope that I will come off of this partial SSRI and then, I might see a return to something in my art that I have maybe not experienced in the same capacity as early on. But I don't want to shy away from telling people that because I've kind of been quiet about that part of my experience as an artist and also as a live music lover. And in general, mental health is really important. And a lot of us are dealing with things that you can't see from the outside. So, I think I bring that up because I was saying that I used to get really distracted at shows. Like I I have very good hearing, and I could hear people many rows behind me having a conversation, and would get like focused on something like that, or this drunk person next to me, I'm worried, are they going to be okay, or like all these things, and it would pull me out of the experience. And what's interesting is that, like, you'd think that being observant and aware of all of those people around you would make you aware of all the experiences that people are having. But that's not it. It's that, Mike, when you are with your eyes closed, listening, you're in your space, fully present in the music, right? And Alex, I don't know what if you dance with your hands or, or
I am feeling it differently every time. Sometimes eyes
right?
closed, sometimes white boy herky jerky moves. You never know.
Yeah. My husband now likes to, he's always kind of done this, but now he has an actual notebook from Viva El Gonzo. He does set list notes. So, there are people throughout the whole crowd who are experiencing things in their own way. And for me, before I started getting medicated, I was aware of my anxiety. I had kind of some untethering psychedelic experiences while I was in that mental headspace that I think impacted quite literally my ability to understand this connection to each other, but also it really maybe exacerbated or emphasized that the anxiety was there. And I had some pretty radical experiences, spiritual experiences during this time, and had a really radical experience with Christ and heard the voice of God in 2022 when I was about, I don't know, like 6 months into making live art, after like finally letting go of this resistance that I like kept feeling at shows, that I wanted to do it and I couldn't. And like it basically got to a point where like I couldn't stop. I couldn't resist that anymore. And so I was starting to make art at shows. I felt this power from what I was doing. I am quite literally channeling energy. I'm channeling the music that's coming directly from the stage. I'm getting locked in and tapped in. I'm going into a flow space. I'm not thinking. It becomes very automatic. I'm like a very heart-centered kind of dancer. I'm that girl. I'm not a spinner. I'm the one with my really long arms out and my fingers like I'm playing the keys up in the air, and like that's me when I'm dancing. And so kind of naturally, like my energy wants to move through me from heart to hands. And when I allow that to happen through pen and paper or watercolor, it has become this really beautiful thing that allows me to express what I feel. And, there was this period of time, just to kind of bring some closure to these really personal elements that I'm sharing. There was this period of time where I suddenly believed in God in a way that was really energetic and ethereal, like something I had believed in before, but now suddenly, like with no deniability. And I began praying at shows constantly. And, there's a picture of me that someone took. We had met earlier, and then she saw me in the crowd and she took a picture and she sent it to me later. And I'm at Goose at the Cap, their first run there. And I'm in the crowd and I have my hands up in the air, like worship. Nobody else around me has their hands in the air. It's not like a moment where we're worshiping the band. Like I love the band. I give so much credit and kudos to musicians for what they do and how they are expressing creation. But for me, like this is my place of one of my places of worship. We are to worship in truth and spirit. And I do that at shows. I do that in music. And I think that in doing that and in all of these little connections to each other, I am able to become such a vessel for energy that my prayers are that whatever people are feeling, if you are there at the show, I feel your energy. I'm an empath. I feel careful about using the word psychic. I don't know that that's really the right word, but like my antennae are very strong and I can feel what other people are feeling. And, I'm in a place right now where I'm learning how to maybe create some rituals for myself to protect myself so that I'm not always absorbing, or if somebody's having a bad experience, that I'm not necessarily letting that affect me. But there's a very, very spiritual element to what I do that I want people to know is happening. And I want people to know that for me, it's directly through God, Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ. That's my experience.
Well, that was like the most beautiful thing that's ever occurred on this podcast. So if for nothing else, just thank you so much for sharing that with us. Because
Yeah.
wow.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Getting really personal in the best way. Great.
Yeah.
You're a great storyteller, Caroline.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes I worry I'm not, so it means a lot.
Oh, it's my turn to ask a question. Sorry, I'm brain farting.
No, we could take a pause for a second. Oof. I felt compelled to say there. For me, Goose is a Christian jam band. There's always this like.
Ooh.
I've loved this band for 6+ years, and I've never made a statement about it because I think that, first of all, I'm not sure. Like, I think, yes, I'm a Christian, but I would say I'm a Christ follower. And in the sense that he was this person who came here not to create a new religion, or even if you don't think of it in that way, he was a person. He was a historical person who talked to people. And his whole message was that we don't need to follow these rules. We just need to worship in truth and spirit. And, very early in the podcast, I shared with you that like my own personal start in music started in church. But I grew up with a lot of nuance in, like, I had hippie scientist Catholic parents. And my mom was a convert. My grandpa, my mom's dad, called himself Buddhist because he was a Buddhist Jew.
I love that so much.
And my mom's other sister lived in Thailand when I was a kid. So I like had all of these sources of inspiration around me that were like not so focused on religion, but relationship with something higher than us, greater than us. And it's energy. Like God is energy. God is the universe. God is the Big Bang. And all we are ever doing by Newton's laws is transferring energy. It's never created or destroyed. It's only transferred. And we're experiencing that at concerts. We're experiencing that in conversations. We're experiencing that with each other. You hear it in the cliches that like where your attention goes, your energy flows. It's all like really very much truth that we're energy, and it runs through all of us. I think that there is, God, or whatever you want to call it, divinity exists. It is this spirit, this energy of creation, and we've all been created, and we get to created to create. So it flows through all of us, and if we can be that much more open to it, then it does, like, for me, that's changed my life so drastically. It's transformed my life. And, I think I got a little lost along the way, but I grew up singing songs in church. God really started connecting with me and working with me in my life through music. But I was born to the Grateful Dead. So like, why would that only be like worship, Christian worship music? Like, no, I actually like feel God so much in secular music. I've heard messages that, yeah, it's not God's voice. Maybe it's like O'Teal singing, you know? And there have been things in my life where multiple times I'm at a show and have felt so moved by the music that as humans, I think we should be aware of that, wonder.
100%. It's the spirit running through you.
Yeah, give it time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I could tell you guys a lot of stories about the way that has happened through Goose. We'll save some time.
Well, I was going to say that's a whole other episode, I think, honestly.
That is another episode for sure that we should probably do.
Because, yeah, we want to focus on like your endeavors with the community and all that on this one, but like I'm just so interested in this topic now. Like,
sure, and please, if you even want to like take some of this and just save it for a future episode because it caters more towards that topic, I would like for you to keep what makes sense in this one. But like if you want to, if you want to come back to talking about how Goose is a Christian rock band for me, like we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Or just music and spiritual experiences, especially in the jam band world in general. Because I mean, the jam band world is unique in that regard, in that I feel like it kind of lends itself more to those spiritual experiences. And I mean, I guess EDM kind of does it to a lesser extent, where they take you to those peaks and those highs. I don't get the same thing out of it that I think those people do, but specifically with jams, I feel like it's kind of the one thing where without words you get taken to another realm.
Yep.
And I feel like it's unique to jam bands in that regard. So I think this would make a great follow-up topic.
Cool. I love that. Yeah, it's definitely a journey, and I think we're all seekers in the jam band scene.
Yes.
100%. There is no doubt in my mind that is the truth for everyone who is not seeking being a seeker in the jam scene, but they wind up being a seeker anyway. All right, so we'll bring it back a little bit. We'll figure out how to like get a second.
I trust you guys. Yeah. Thank you for letting me be authentically me and just share what comes up. Like I didn't have in my outline talk about God. So
that's what we're all about, though. We want to give you a platform to be yourself and share your truth. So I know you're super active, especially the last few years that we've kind of been around more publicly in the scene of organizing all these flow downs and bringing all these artists together, and seeing how much they've grown since I imagine you started going to these events. I just was curious, what's your overall thoughts on the fan art scene within the Goose community and like the overall camaraderie within that scene and how it's changed and grown over the years?
It really excites me. It is, I think, its own subsection or subgenre of the community that really plays on that spirit of creation that is so apparent in the Goose world. I mean, you guys are one of several podcasts that have been inspired by this band, right? And I'll shout out the Femme Flock as a female-led of that variety, and this is your creation, right? So like there is a spirit of creation that is just present, and I think that's true in the world. I hope it's true, but there are a lot of people who don't act on those things. And when you can have your own, I want to say world, but really like not to use this word so much, but we're a community. When you have this community, that this fan base is such it's its own mycelium network where we're all connected like this and we're all unique. And I'm so inspired by this music. It has clearly been perhaps I don't know what word to even use. Goose is why I am an artist now.
Wow.
Absolutely. Goose and their music, and yes, my own life experience, my own spiritual experiences, my own surrendering. the whole thing has been my own growth alongside this band. And I think that I am one of many. Like, it's countless how many people are out there who are inspired by this music, who are given creative ideas through the notes that they hear, who want to express what they feel. You know, there's a beauty in the sound, in the jams, in the journey that they take us on, that leaves people with something that they want to then take and do. And it's just beautiful that I think it's grown so organically. You know, I think that when a band in the jam band scene, with the history of the Grateful Dead and Fish and Panic, and the way that like Shakedown Street is such a thing, and you know, I think that me being inspired by this band so early gave me eyes on the way that that could grow for our community. And I'm not trying to be careful with what I say. I just like, I guess I have a lot of thoughts that there's room for everybody. And I think it's just extremely inspiring. And, you know, there's another live artist that I want to shout out. Her name is Kaylee Plutnick, and she is really amazing. She is based in the Northeast, and she started drawing the band on Europe tour. And I saw something online, and Kaylee knows this story, so I'm going to tell it because I like being a very truthful person. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's drawing at the shows. Like, that's what I do, you know? Like, and there was a part of me at first that like, a little bit of ego, you know, came up that like, hey, that's my thing. Like, I'm the live artist. And this was probably a year into me like really doing it and kind of taking off. And I remember taking a moment and sitting at home, couch tour, and just being like, wow, wait, I'm so glad that there is somebody there capturing these moments, because I'm not there. And that grew into this, like, you know, I had the choice to either connect with her and be a bully, or connect with her and support her and say, oh my gosh, you feel what I feel too. How cool is it? It's so awesome that this band makes us want to do this. And her style is very different than mine too. And the way that she creates, her creative process is very different than mine. You know, Mike, I know you asked that question earlier, and I didn't really give that many like specific details, but like for me, I'm a very spatial person. I don't have like, the way my brain works is space and time. And so when I'm creating art, at shows, I almost always start by capturing the environment that we're in first, by drawing the blocking and the shapes and the lines of the stage, of really getting a kind of a guideline of like, this is where we are, this is the space and time we're in. And then I start drawing based on wherever the music takes me to that artist on stage. Maybe they're in a solo and I start working on their guitar, and everything I do is with this love of math, of like shapes, and then building on top of it. And eventually when I started, I would do like it would take an entire show to do one piece. And when Kaylee came along, she was doing things totally differently. She was furiously scribbling these portraits during like one song. And it was such a vastly different creative expression and process than what I was doing. And I just had I was so inspired by her, you know, after I got over that initial, hey, it was like, wait, this is amazing. Like you know, And so please go check out Kaylee's artwork. She's an incredible artist, live artist, and she does wonderful oil paintings. And and I want her to know, and I want you guys to know that like I've been inspired by her along my journey. And I had started getting into this, like what I would call ecstatic drawing, where I was trying to let go more of my need to control the way the ink came out. And so she really inspired me to let go, to let loose, it didn't have to be a masterpiece every time. And then we met at Arablo and we did a collaboration on the floor where she drew and then I added watercolor, and we passed the book back and forth and back and forth. And it's just like, I think that's a really wonderful example of, in this community and in life, you have a choice to defend what you're doing or what you have, as the only thing of its kind, when in reality there's room for everybody. And even though we are both making art at shows, they're each their own unique expressions and creations, and we have inspired each other along the way and helped shape each other's artistry. So love her art. I love this community. Continue to see it grow. I think it continues to happen in that way too, where different different artists are being born in the fan base, and they might initially be inspired by somebody else or think I could do that, but they realize along the way that like we each are kind of seeking our own path and getting to do that through this music together, which is just incredible.
Yeah, totally agree. There's always room because we all have our own unique voice and our own unique way and our own unique perspective. And so there's a million lanes for any people to fill in. And so I would definitely encourage anyone that's like creatively motivated by this band or any other band to just take the plunge, because it totally is worth it. And you said something interesting there about how Goose is like kind of the reason you're an artist. So going from that to now in the more recent future, last Goosemas, you had to do you didn't have to, you got the opportunity to do a collaboration with Goose for some Night Zero merch. And we talked about it briefly earlier, but you also recently got to design the drum head for Cotter. Can you like walk us through how any of that went down and what it's like for you now, a few years later into this, to work directly with the band that inspired this all to start with? I mean, what a crazy journey.
It's really, really amazing, isn't it? It's funny because I've been really candid with you guys about the fact that I've been silently suffering at times during this journey, and dealing with a lot of personal, mental, physical health things. And as humans, I think we tend to hide those challenges when the reality is that, like, I don't know, we might be able to argue that like those are the things that actually connect us the most, is that we all suffer and we also all love. And so, I know that's like a super tangent to what your question is, but it just felt like it needed to be shared because as I was going through it's only been like a few years, right, of really starting drawing this band, starting making art at the shows, reaching out to El Goose, seeing if they wanted to put something in the El Goose Times. Then eventually they asked if I wanted to do cover art, then, continuing to make live art, then turning that into things that people could order and purchase and wear. And then, vending events along the way. And then eventually like organizing these events of our own. And, so to speak to Alex, I think in this answer, we'll get a little more about some of the flow down stuff too. But Mike, with the Night Zero merch from last year, so you want to know kind of how it happened. How did I get this opportunity? I think everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
And Michaela Shea at Cats Under the Stitch, she also got the chance to do a merch design for Night Zero, which was really awesome. Yep. And she does really cool upcycled Goose-inspired work. So it was, I think both of us were working in the fan art subsection of this community and putting energy into it in a way that honestly just got recognized. And for Michaela, I know that tour, they had been set up on lot at the Man. She has been around for so long with Goose, and she has been making her art and just consistently showing up and being on lot. And that's awesome. I think that is part of that core value of, if you make it, they will come, right? And if you are there, it will happen. And so even before, like, Goose Lot is still, right now at this time that we're talking, it's still not really a full thing. It's happening, it's growing. There are vendors, there are people setting up, but you might go to some shows where there's not a single person set up on lot, and you might go to others where there's 15. So it really depends on your region and you know, all those logistics. But Michaela, if she's at a show, I know that she's always brought her stuff, and she's been consistent there. And so in 2024, that fall tour at the Man, I heard some rumors, and you guys may have heard them too, that like there was security or police going around and they were trying to shut down the lot. And Goose's managers just happened to be out in the lot checking it out when this was happening, and they fought for the vendors. They said, like, no, please don't shut this down. We love this. We want this to happen. We give permission for this to, you know, to be going on. So I know that happened in her world with what she does with Goose, kind of at the same time that I was down in Florida for the fall tour. And, you know, we organized our first Flow Down event last summer in Atlanta for Goose at the Fox. And it was huge. It was such an awesome success. We got so many people out. It was like this incredible grassroots community event, and Sweetwater Brewery was our host, and they were really awesome. And I think that, you know, firstly, I want to say that it wasn't all like my own idea or anything either. You know, I put a lot of energy and organization into it, but I had participated in fan art previously, and you know, he wasn't really doing Goose events at that time, and I was in the Southeast, and so there were just all these little things. There were seeds planted, and we made it happen. And if you build it, they will come. And I was really focused on that time about how, like, I personally didn't really want to, as an artist, to show up and be on lot all the time. Like, I want to go hang out with my friends before the show, maybe catch some local live music. I want to get in. I don't really want to be taking down a tent. I don't want to be late to the show. I want to be there when they're starting. If not, like, I want to be there before and like kind of ground myself in the space, especially if I'm going to make live art. And so there were just a lot of factors that, like, even though people were asking, without asking directly, people were asking to be on lot, like, it just wasn't necessarily where I wanted to put all of my energy. And so the idea of doing, especially for a multi-night run, doing one of these events, and also seeing that the fan artists in the community, the businesses, the podcasts like you guys, they're all happening, but we're young, you know, whether that's by age or skill, we are, like, you know, kind of coming into how do we do this for this band. And also, especially after the pandemic, venues have changed their rules a lot. There are a lot of places that maybe you could have just shown up and been on lot before, that you can't really do that. They're going to kick you out, or they're going to try to charge you a ridiculous amount of money to be there. And, you know, so I kind of took the initiative to act like a little bit of a liaison between artists and venues to find out, okay, what are the rules? Can we do this? And if not, can we make a local community event where we can all get together and we can drive traffic so you guys can get your art out there and we can all connect? And hey, I just want to like sit and listen to live music. So can we book a band too? And can we like maybe have some beer and food? And like that's what I wanted. Right. So then it grew into this, like, I'm clearly a passionate person who loves this community and this music, and I wanted that for all of us. And so those Florida shows, St. Pete, you can't vend at that pier. There's like all of these like pre-designed little outdoor shops. And I tried calling them, I tried emailing them to get info. Hey, there are only going to be a few vendors. And it just was like a nope, can't happen situation. So somebody from St. Pete reached out after our Atlanta flow down and asked for advice. And they started organizing a little hometown event of their own. And we helped bring the vendors. And then for St. Augustine, a similar kind of thing happened. There was a local business owner. Hey, we would really love to do an event. And we, talked about it and made it happen. And now the thing about St. Augustine is that they have a really great lot. And if you haven't been to the St. Augustine Amphitheater, it's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's connected to a state park. So for like Billy Strings, Widespread Panic, they always have a shakedown street. And it's usually a big market. And like they do a farmer's market there on the weekends. They do. So we were expecting that vendors would be able to show up. And again, I kind of took this initiative. So I called the venue. They were like a month before the shows. They were excited. Oh, we love a shakedown. This is the person you should talk to. And then we were on our way there from St. Pete, and one of the vendors got there before us and called me and said, Caroline, they're not letting us in. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, they're saying no vendors allowed for this event. Like no one can set up on lot. And there were 3 vendors. And I love everybody. So shout out Drifter Merch and Type 2 Designs and Alexandra's Artistry. They were all there ready to go. And so I kind of reached out to whoever I could, the people that I knew in St. Augustine who wanted to do a little pre-party before the Saturday. They had some connections at the amphitheater. And then Levi, Type 2 Designs, he reached out to whatever people he knew. And so management ended up kind of getting involved and saying to the amphitheater, like, no, we love this. This is fine. We give full permission for vendors to set up. The people, higher up at the amp were like, we love this. This is fine. I don't know what the miscommunication is. It turns out the guy who usually runs a shakedown street was like out for dental work. So it was like some kind of like security decided, no, that's not allowed because I don't have it written down here that there's going to be vendors. And so this is the full truth to tell you guys that this stuff happens, right? This is why like I wanted to start I had already organized flow downs, but like why it makes sense to do this when it's especially in an environment where sometimes it doesn't work out. And anything, everything kind of came together for St. Augustine, and they let vendors in, and it was a great setup. And that was my first time really being on lot. And that happened, right around that same time as management kind of fighting for fan artists at the Man. And so I think both Michaela and I just kind of got this, and Levi too, Type 2 Designs, he got an opportunity to do stuff for Goosemas as well. And so I think the 3 of us really got this opportunity because we were seen for our efforts in helping the vendors and helping, the community. And I will say that as I've, had some of these opportunities and talked to band management, that it's fan art is a tricky gray area. None of our flow downs are going to be officially sponsored by the band because it's just they love it. They love that it's happening. The band loves it. The management loves it. They are not going to make it an official event because they love that it's just happening from us, that the community is doing it. And actually it's like way cooler that the community is doing it.
So much better. Yeah.
So that's how those Goosemas opportunities happened. And I won't give you as lengthy of a story for the drumhead art, but it for me was very much a lesson in alignment and patience. And when Cotter joined the band, you know, he brought a very unique, vibrant personality, energy, vibe to everything. And he really like connects with the community and appreciates what people are doing. He appreciates that you guys are doing a podcast. He appreciates that there are artists that are so inspired by the music that they're making stuff. He appreciates that some of us are taking it on to be the organizers of events, you know, and I'm only one of dozens of people who have done flow downs. And the name, I don't know. It just stuck. It just happened. So it works. And we thought about naming like other events, different things. And the vendors were like, I think everybody just calls them flow downs now. We should just stick with flow down. So with Cotter, he over a year ago had put out a call for art on Instagram. And he had this idea to do like a different drum head for each tour. And that was his idea. And I reached out and said that I would love to work with him. And then a few days later, I ran into him in the crowd at Mondegreen. And we talked. And he was like, do you want to send me like some ideas? And I was like, this might be like, actually, no, I want to like collaborate. I want to talk about what you might want to do together. And at the time I was starting to play with generative synthesis and like the math nerd that I am, like, you know, the different ways that you can make shapes in water and with sound. And so we had so many ideas. We were going to maybe have him do something and send me a sample. And I was going to like try to capture it in water and color. And like, it would have been really cool, but you know, maybe that's something for the future. Maybe I just gave away a future thing we might do. And then eventually, you know, I did that, the heron, the blue heron for the Goose Miss design. I only had 2 weeks to design that and turn it around. When we got that opportunity, it was right after St. Augustine. It was like, hey, we would like to offer you this, but this is your turnaround time. And so, you know, I look for signs and synchronicity in my life. I don't look, the less you look for them, the more you experience them. So we were driving home from a little birthday weekend trip. And I was thinking about this and what am I going to do? And there was a giant great blue heron in the middle of the median of the highway. And I remembered that on one of the wedding clients I had worked with, it was a South Carolina wedding. I still do wedding stuff, but my passion is in music. I had drawn a great blue heron and I knew that I had a picture of just the sketch. And so I literally immediately in my phone photos, heron, and found the sketch and took a screenshot. And I sent an email and was like, I think I want to do this. And they were like, that's perfect. Yeah. So then I was able to use something that I had already created with love to build upon it. And I started researching herons and getting really into, they like have there's like this whole ancient Egyptian background on the great blue heron. There was a heron back then. Okay, I'm going to save the story, but it was really cool. And so I got really into and then I had like a past life reading where someone saw me in Egypt while all this was happening. It was just like, okay, all this is happening. So there's some hidden symbolism in that Goose Miss design. And after Goose Miss, Cotter ordered some of my art, some of the live art that I created at Goose Miss. So I followed up with him. I I included a Rubik's Cube earring for his collection and some other, little fun gifts. And I told him I'd really like to continue talking about doing the drum head. And I don't really have any ideas. Like, would you be open to just having a conversation? And so we had a phone call, and the Heron came up, and he told me this incredible personal story where we talked about synchronicity and all of these things and what the Heron means to him. He has a heron tattooed. Oh, yeah. So the day that I sent that draft to the manager, like, hey, I think this is what I want to do, he replies, I'm eating brunch with Cotter and just looked down. He has a heron tattoo. I think you should do it. So,
Wow.
so it's like all these like things. I couldn't plan it,
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's
so
beautiful.
yeah, it was really awesome. So we talk, I ask about the tattoo. He tells me this whole personal story about what it means to him. And I tell him about, there's a hidden eye of Horus on the heron, which is the eye of Ra is, in my research about Egypt, like that's power. And Horus is harmony, peace, rebirth. And so we start talking about mythology, and Cotter mentions that like he really loves mythology. He really likes Egyptian mythology, but he's really into Greek mythology. And that just kind of planted the seed that then I started thinking about Atlas, and I started thinking about how much Atlas is in the Goose music, in Atlas Dogs, and what those lyrics mean to me, that we should be dancing in the darkness and marching towards the light, and thinking about these like experiences I've had of feeling like a butterfly being born and, creating this world, or being born into this world that I'm in, and what I'm doing as an artist. And like at Goose shows, I feel like we are all kind of winged creatures, and like really it's just so beautiful to see. Like I've been at a lot of different types of shows. I'm not going to like compare it to other groups. I think it's just beautiful to see the Goose community is so authentically themselves, and they're so willing to let their wings be seen. And it became a place where like I finally, after 20 plus years of maybe not seeing my own wings, like really started to find them in this community. And butterflies in their music, all this stuff. So the art was just born out of those conversations and natural collaboration and a lot of patience, and eventually came together, honestly, in the 11th hour. And after all that, it's still it's still like, it's energy. So I'm so grateful.
Again, so beautifully said. I'm like fighting back tears here. Like it's just so wonderfully said.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even know how we can top that with the rest of our questions. Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you for your immense amount of time, guys. I warned you that I tend to talk a lot. I don't think you knew what I meant.
But you only got a couple more questions left, I think, and then our normal rapid fire, which always fails to be rapid, but that's all right. We'll have fun with it.
I know you will. I appreciate you.
One thing that we always like to ask, you talked about being a woman in the jam band scene a little bit with us earlier. It's obviously a very male dominated scene, very bro-y sometimes at Goose. And we always like to ask and give you a platform. What are some of the biggest challenges or most encouraging parts of being a woman in the Goose scene? And what maybe do you hope to see in the future in this scene? Sorry if I caught you off guard.
No, you're good. It's just like, it's an interesting question to respond to. It's because it's as a woman, it's not new. It's not like this is what life is like for women for the most part. It's how our world is designed, unfortunately, or I think unfortunately for everybody, to be honest, like if more women were behind the creation of the way things work, we would all be working more communally and in more harmony. And so I actually would rather speak to the fact that that presence is here with Goose, and that it can be a broy community. And, you know, early on getting into this band, like I remember laughing because I would go to shows in Atlanta and go to the bathroom, and like it's jam band shows are like the only time that the men's line is longer than the women's.
Yeah.
But over time, that is less so at Goose. There is a balance in their energy. There is a feminine divinity that is present in the music that is soft and gentle and emotional and in touch. And it's in the music, it's in the lyrics, it's in the way that they play, it's in how they carry themselves as men who are in touch with that side of themselves. Like we all have both masculine, feminine. So I feel it very much so. It excites me because it feels like the most feminine, you know, masculine music I've ever, you know, it's not masculine music, but it feels like some of the most feminine in this jam band scene that I've discovered personally. And there are so many Goose chicks. There are so many incredible women who are drawn to this music, who you know, Tina Varner does Goose Chicks, the actual Facebook group. She's done it for years and it's beautiful. It's like, if you're a woman and you don't enjoy the broy conversation that might happen in El Goose, go join Goose Chicks and you will find so many women who love this music and want to talk about it and are inspired by the lyrics and the jams and make art and all of it. I have met some of my best friends through this music by being an artist in this music, and they're pretty much all women. I have a lot of, like, I have my jamily that I've made through Goose, and they're balanced, right? We're, you know, men and women, couples and single, all the above. But I have really made some wonderful girlfriends through Goose, and it's just really, it's really powerful. It's really loving. So I think that I hope that we continue to see that. You know, Alex, you asked like my hopes for the future with this band. And yeah, I think that there is some balance and there's just so many women. I hope that women continue to share and express what this band means to them and what they feel in the music, and continue to, you know, create. And I've already shouted out a few women, and so I'll shout out what I call my Goose Gal pen pals, who are Margot Harmon of Fox and the Cobra, Nora Brody, Worldwide Mycelium Network, Kelsey Starrett of Jively Designs, Kaylee Plutnick, who's also a live artist. And there are so many other women who are growing in this scene. One of the most recent additions to the artist community is Jacqueline Dennis. She does Turned Clouds watercolor, and she's started doing these incredible, like, lyrical compositions and set list designs. Just the other day in El Goose, I saw a woman share some, like, homemade quilted lyric hats that are awesome, like these trucker hats.
Cool. Yes.
They're so sick. So I just love women. You know, Jess Metzger over at the Femme Flock is such a champion for women and always doing her part. That whole team, the Femme Flock, is like such an incredible source of light in the female part of our community, really lifting up women in our scene. And there's always going to be work to do in the world to help women be seen, help women have voices, help women get, you know, creative opportunities. And I'm all for it. And it's a huge part of why I love bringing together these community events at Flow Downs. It's really awesome to work with other people who have the same kind of love and values. And yeah, Goose loves the gals, and the gals love Goose.
Perfectly said. I feel like every time we have a guest on, we bring a lot of women on the show because honestly, there's way too many dudes in this podcasting scene.
Yes.
And it just gets more encouraging with every guest. Like to your point, there is a lot of encouragement there, and it just feels like it's getting better and better with every week that goes by, let alone every tour, every year.
Our efforts are working.
Yeah. All thanks to y'all, the amazing women of the scene.
I love it.
And I think Goose does naturally attract it too. I think the songwriting is different with them compared to other jam bands. I think that Goose is just naturally an inclusive band. I think that's just kind of who they are.
And there's a lot of room both for interpretation and feeling. I think
yes,
like my husband and I experience shows in very different ways. It's not that I don't have an ear. I can hear each instrument on stage. I can notice what's happening in a jam that's different from when they played at a different time, or this is going to be more dark, or this is more blissy. I can hear those things, right? But for me, I internalize that experience in such a feeling kind of way. And I don't know that that's necessarily, a male female kind of thing. I've met men actually who tell me oh yeah, I feel the music more than I'm really analytical about the jam. And I know some women who are all about those, this versus that. I get it. It's a little, in my opinion, it's a little broy, but it doesn't have to be. I think that you're so right that they're inclusive. And, maybe that's something that we talked about with Hulaween. They're accessible. There's not a barrier of entry to Goose because it doesn't matter your gender or your sex or your identity in any capacity. This music is for you, however you hear and feel it. And we invite you to come bring your beautiful wings into this space and flutter around with us.
Exactly. Flock around with us.
And if there's a chomper, maybe shut the flock up too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Number one rule.
And they're the main reason that my eyes are closed so that I can be in my own world here. But I think we kind of hit on all of the main things. So unless there's anything else, Alex, I think we can kind of jump into our rapid fire that's not so rapid and see how rapid we can make it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Starting off with rapid fire, favorite song?
Oh my gosh. Creatures.
All right.
Ooh, I think that's the first one for that.
Say, how about favorite version of Creatures real quick? You got one?
I don't know favorite version, but yesterday I did send the Creatures from Radio City to my former assistant principal. Oh. And I'm going to read you guys his response. Because he and I have our own unique relationship that's really awesome. But
I love it.
Yeah, so we're on the phone and I said, this moment is the only thing you know. And he said, Herb, that's good. Put it on a shirt. And I said, Temp, his name's Temple. It's a Goose lyric. And he was like, what? I was like, have you not listened to them yet? He's like, I'm going for a drive. So I sent him the Creatures from Radio City. I said, we were at the show. And this is his response. What is this music? This is great. It's like mixing the Grateful Dead, a little funky James Brown, Sting, Dire Straits, and a few Latin influences thrown in. This is amazing stuff. And since Goose are your boys, let the bass player know that my life was changed by this song.
Aww.
Fire emoji, sunglass emoji.
Love it. Let's go. New fan.
I said best response
and
ever.
Shout out too. Wow.
All right. Well,
amazing.
Turns out that we don't need to have the podcast. Let's just let him run the show. That's amazing analysis right there.
Yeah.
Actually, he also hosts a podcast. You guys might want to check out. I'll have him check out this one. It's called From There to Here. From There to Here. And that was the first podcast I was ever on.
Oh, wow. All right. Queuing it up.
Wow, we're definitely going to check it out.
All right, back to not so rapid fire. Let's go.
Yeah, sorry.
Favorite show?
What's in my head right now is Red Rock's debut, 22.
Okay.
I don't know that that's actually my favorite show, but that's what's screaming inside my brain right now.
Listen, it could change every day.
That's what you got to go with then.
Yeah, it does change every day.
And then this one I think is going to be kind of obvious, but maybe you'll surprise us. But favorite band music besides Goose? I feel like you maybe led up to this from how you were born, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't the Dead.
I listen to a lot of Sirius XM, and I find myself on Life with John Mayer a lot. I'm a big John Mayer fan. Before Dead and Company and through Dead and Company. I don't have a lot of autonomy over what gets played on the sound system in my house because my husband is also a huge music lover. So he has a calendar for us of all of the shows that we've been to. And if it's a show with a recording, we're usually listening to it that day.
That is so cool. I love that.
And I'm pretty open-minded. Okay.
Yeah, that's a
I love
tradition.
that tradition though. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's awesome. It's so cool.
All right, so maybe this is a bucket list venue, or maybe this is somewhere that you've been before, but not to see Goose. Where do you hope to see Goose one day perform?
I was in Colorado, but I did not go to the shows at Gilliland, and I would really love the opportunity to see them there. I think the time has probably passed, but that's still going to be my answer because I wish I was there.
Could always construct a time machine, and then
it's true. Maybe I already have one.
I think a good amount of us would be headed to Dylan if there was a time machine.
I think so,
still got time.
All right, we'll keep it on the
down low. And pivoting from that, favorite concert venue just overall, Goose or not?
Spirit of the Suwannee Music Park, baby.
Let's go.
Here we go. On brand.
Yeah, I love it. It's there's no place like home.
Well said.
Yeah.
Do you have any big Chaser songs?
I don't know my stats well enough to really know. I tend to outsource that part of my brain to Chase, which is probably not a good thing, but we have yet to do a show without each other. So I don't know. I've been really lucky. I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of songs. Yeah. There's not that much that I'm still chasing. I'll post it online when you guys share the link to the podcast.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. And then first album, cassette, or CD you ever bought?
Oh my gosh, she was born in 96.
With my own money?
No tapes.
Yeah, I was born in 96. But that's okay. I bought a CD.
Okay, sorry. I'm very old.
No, I'm
so
a purist.
We
like analog media in our house. We have a big vinyl, so I'm with you.
Yeah.
So I grew up at bedtime, my parents would put on American Beauty to help me fall asleep. And I know that's not that doesn't answer your question because I didn't buy that, but that is if I'm sick, whatever, I listen to American Beauty. The first thing I bought with my own money was Lindsay Lohan's debut CD at Walmart.
That is something I did not know existed. So.
Yeah, it was right after she was in Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, and I was obsessed. It was I wasn't really allowed to watch it, but it was a Disney movie, and I watched it anyways.
Ooh.
And then I used my own money. That was after my cousin made me a Britney Spears mix CD.
We're getting you in trouble here.
Lindsay Lohan. No, it's all good. It's in the CD collection. I still have it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You might need you to send us a picture of that and we'll use that as the promo photo for the episode.
Love it.
Oh man. Do you have a go-to karaoke song? Any artist?
No, but if we're doing a duet, which I will get up and do, It's Summer Lovin' from Greece.
Okay.
There we go. Always
Yeah.
fun. And the
Yeah.
crowd's always going to get into it, so that's a
pleasing.
winner.
What are your karaoke songs?
Oh, Take on Me, aha. Easy.
Oh, nice.
I have way too many because there was a time in my life where I was doing karaoke like 4 or 5 nights a week, like in my 20s, and so like I've got a lot. But anything Sublime for
Nice.
sure. Band or artists on your bucket list if you have any that you haven't
You
seen.
just said Sublime, and it made me think Jack Johnson. Can't believe I haven't seen him. Would love to see Jack Johnson.
Yeah, he's
really
great.
okay.
Yeah, I grew up in a beach town, a lot of surf, culture, and I'm a sailor, so like, just I love that music.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I never got to see Phil. He was really on my list. We were supposed to go to that lock-in for his 80th birthday, and some other things that fell through. So I think I'm just going to leave with those answers right now. And yeah, I'm such an easy music date. Just take me to live music.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's hard to go wrong there.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a little unhinged. I always laugh when I see this question. Would you rather fight one elephant-sized goose or 200 goose-sized elephants?
Oh my gosh. I don't like to fight. Can that be my answer?
It's the battle to the death. You're fighting for your life.
So I'm really good with animals. I think that I would probably be able to handle one more than a ton, even if it's huge. But a elephant-sized goose could be vicious, man. Like, I don't know if that thing's gonna let me even like get close and caress its cheek. I don't know, but that's gonna be my answer. I'm not gonna fight it. I'm gonna love it, and I'm going with the one.
Okay. We have had to up this number.
I just appreciate the
had to
actual
up that
thought.
number from like 50 to 75 to now we're up to 200. And finally, someone picked the one.
Wait, now I'm kind of rethinking because you said one elephant-sized goose, right?
Yep.
Or 200 goose-sized elephants.
Yep.
Okay, well, like in my head, I was just imagining all just ferocious geese for some reason. I would really love a bunch of mini elephants, but not if I'm fighting them. See, that's where I don't think I'm answering your question. Yeah. I'm going to like nurture them, probably teach them something.
Maybe it's just like a debate. It's not really like a physical fight, like maybe it's just like
this is like turning into like Willy Wonka rescuing the Oompa Loompas, but now it's like a bunch of mini elephants. Like it's like
We're
really gone off the rails.
Well, everything I say stands, but I'm going to stick with my initial answer.
Okay.
This is also unhinged, but at a show, would you rather be stuck next to someone who sings all the lyrics wrong or someone who accidentally slaps you with flailing arms every few minutes?
I fear that I'm both of those people sometimes. So
Aren't we all?
Yeah, we all take our turn.
Okay, well, considering that I make art at shows, it is actually rather challenging when somebody bumps me or hits me. So I would rather stand next to the person singing who's like fully. We're all allowed to enjoy the experience however we want.
Yeah.
All right. This is another unhinged one. Oh my gosh. Which member of Goose would you trust the most to like babysit, house sit, whatever for you, and which one would you trust the least?
This is my favorite of all the questions. Whenever we ask this, people are just lost in their heads.
Well, it's so funny because with each of them, first I thought, can I walk you through my thought process?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, please do. This will make it better.
First I thought Rick, then because sweetheart. Then I immediately thought, no, Pete, come on, duh, Pete. Pete will take care of your house and your pet, right? And I thought, like Rick might like get so lost in writing something that he forgets that the stove is on. And then, so then I'm thinking, okay, so I'd probably pick Pete. But then I'm like, but I do have this personal like relationship to an extent with Cotter from working with him on the drum and stuff. So I'm like, should I don't know. I don't know him that well. But I was going to say Cotter's like, I think personality wise on the outside, Cotter is the one that seems the most chaotic. But I actually think he is such a force in nature. Like that man can do everything and anything. So Pete's gonna house it. No, I'm changing my mind. I was gonna say Pete's gonna house it and Trevor is not, but actually I think Trevor's just gonna sit there and chill, maybe watch some TV, put on a movie, hopefully walk the dog, you know. Like I think definitely walk the dog. He's gonna go for a walk. And Pete, I love you, but like I don't know, man, you might just want to do too much. So yeah.
That is awesome.
I just went whole walkthrough.
We got like almost 2 different answers, or maybe 3 inside there. So that was the best one yet.
Yeah. Everyone says answer. Peter. You're the first one to say not Peter. It's like
I love you, Peter. That's not what it's about.
Well, I think that we got through pretty much everything. So at this point, 2 hours and 40 minutes later, anything that we didn't talk about, Caroline, that you'd like to plug, or it's your time to shine. Anything that you'd like to promote, or anything you've got coming up, or just want to shout out.
How much time
thank
you
got? So much for your time. It's amazing. We've got another 2 hours and 40 minutes allotted for this.
I'm just kidding. Thank you.
I got my mattress right over here. I'll be over here.
No, I truly am so grateful and honored to be able to have conversation with you guys. You had some really awesome questions and that really got me thinking about all of this. So I appreciate it. I do want to, when are you guys going to share this podcast?
Probably within
the next week. Yeah. Next few days.
Sweet. Okay. So details to come, but Goosemas Flowdown is coming.
Excellent.
And
Woo-hoo!
We are stoked. We'll see you in Providence, Rhode Island to celebrate. You can keep in the loop at Rising Tide Art Studio on Instagram is where we are most active. And it is a huge grassroots community collaborative effort that we are really excited to be working on and bringing together. So we'll see you at Hulaween. We cannot wait to be there. If my flag arrives in time, you can find me at Hula under the flag that says Goose Gal. If it does not arrive, I won't have a totem at all. So just run into me via Spirit of the Suwannee Synchronicity.
Use the vibes.
Yeah. Follow your heart. Get lost and you'll end up right next to me. We'll see you at Hula and celebrate Sunday Goose, and we'll see you in Rhode Island and get to celebrate another wonderful Goosemas with you all.
It's amazing time on both fronts, and we can't wait to see you at Goosemas, and I hope you have the best time at Hulaween.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
Yeah. See you soon.